It was a busy week at the state capitol as the first session of the 57th legislature drew to a close. Topping the to-do list for lawmakers was approval of an $8.3 billion budget. That's a nearly 8% increase over the current year, amounting to what will be the largest budget in the state's history.
Lawmakers had a lot on their plate when the week began. There was a bill to create a legislative office of fiscal transparency to provide financial information on state agencies to the legislature, and a measure to give another pay raise to state employees. But the most important job for lawmakers was the vote on the spending plan for state government for the coming fiscal year. After the House approved House Bill 2765 last week, it was the Senate's turn on Tuesday. The bill includes money for another teacher pay raise and additional dollars going into the classroom. While Senate Republicans had wanted an increase of $200 million in appropriations for common education, they settled for $157.7 million, which includes another $74 million put into the school funding formula. That prompted this exchange between Democratic Senator J.J. Dossett and Senate Appropriations Chair Roger Thompson.
$74 million is significantly less than the $200 million that I heard and frankly was much more in favor of. How come it's come down so much from $200 million back down to the $70 million in the formula investment?
This body has stood firm at the very beginning that we wanted $120 million into the formula. We're winding up with a $157 million spend. So this body is actually $37 million ahead from when we started. And therefore, we did not make it to the $200 million, but we certainly made great headway.
Dossett also argued Oklahoma remains far behind other states in per-pupil spending, underscoring the need for more money to be put into the formula.
We made a very modest investment in the formula last year. This is doubled that. But the bottom line is, according to the numbers I have more recently, we're still roughly $777 million behind putting enough into the formula to be regionally competitive, where we can lower class sizes, we can meet those 1017 mandates.
Senator Mary Boren also voiced concern that the budget fails to meet the state's constitutional obligation to provide instructional materials, including textbooks, to students.
Our state superintendent of public instruction put in a budget request for $40 million for instructional materials. That's significantly lower than what schools need to provide for instructional materials. But even at that standard, we're not meeting it. We're only meeting that at $33 million, $7 million short.
The budget includes significant increases for the House, Senate, and Governor's office, prompting concerns from Senator Julia Curt about the message that sends.
I'm concerned that we're setting our priorities wrong by emphasizing things like our internal management before we're prioritizing things like restoring the earned income tax credit, restoring health services that have been cut, restoring our education funds that have been cut. I think when we talk about accountability, those are the priorities that we need to emphasize.
Democrats also objected to setting aside an additional $200 million in savings, a key element of the governor's budget priorities.
Saving money is a great idea for the future when you don't have bills to pay. We have bills to pay. We're behind. We are not competing regionally in the amount we're investing in our classrooms.
But Thompson defended the savings plan, which comes on top of a projected $400 million deposit into the state's rainy day fund, pointing to budget shortfalls that forced reductions in services in previous years.
We decried whenever we had to cut education and the other agencies because we had not prepared for it. And now under the leadership of our governor, we shall be prepared the next time that it comes along, and those cuts will not be made, and our children's classes will not be cut.
And Senate President Pro Tem Greg Treat says the budget builds on the momentum of last year's budget, which also saw increases to education funding and a historic teacher pay raise.
When we left, we said we are not one and done, but we are committed for the long run. This budget represents that.
After nearly an hour of questions and debate, the Senate voted to approve the bill by a margin of 37-11. With the governor's signature, the bill and the new budget will go into effect July 1st.